break up our Easter egg. We'd get these big sugar eggs, and we'd break them up and feed them to the horse across the street, and we'd have tree houses. We'd play in the grass. Oh, God, we just had a great childhood. And we'd go to the park because it was so close. And yeah, I didn't mind school. We used to ride our bike to school, and we lived about a mile and a half away. And we would ride our bike, or if it was raining, my mom would take us. But school was, okay, and it was fine. And my favorite subjects, I don't know if I had a favorite subject or not, but I used to like recess. But we had rings and all kinds of things, so it was fun. My first job was probably babysitting. I used to babysit a lot, so I'd take care of the kids across the street and a couple blocks away and so forth. But my first paying job where the government, took out money from your check was as a dental assistant. Yeah, your grandpa went to UCLA and graduated in geology and everything, but he ended up being a hod carrier and a carpenter and drywaller. So at Reseda Park, mainly. And my little sisters went down there and met him and his brother, and he and his brother asked if they had any older sisters or anything, and that was me. And so they came over to the house. That's how I met Grandpa. I had children too young, I think. These days, especially. I mean, you have a baby at 19, and that's unusual anymore. They changed my life. I don't know. They were my whole life as far as my kids go, and everything we did around them. Otherwise, well, let's see. I had Autumn when I was 39, and I had Dean when I was 19. So there was a big gap there. Your mom at 22, so. Work ethic, I think. My dad went to work every day. He was always working, it seemed like, when he was supposed to be. And even though he's in construction, he had his little time off in the wintertime when it was raining and stuff. But my mom was always busy around the house. She stayed home. She was a housewife. She had 4 kids. Yeah, I just remember her always being busy with something. My dad enlisted the day after Pearl Harbor was bombed. And he got his picture in the paper because he was with a group of guys that all went down at the same time and enlisted. And then he was a mechanic, and he wanted to be on a bomber, so he was on a bomber when I guess the last 2 years of the service. And his plane was shot down, and a crew of 10, and the plane was spinning so badly, the centrifugal force of it being hit and going down, that 3 guys made it out, parachuted out. And when it was his turn, he said he felt a boot in his back and was kicked out of the plane, and he was the last one out, the 4th one out of the 10. So if it weren't for that, the whole family wouldn't be here. So
that's so crazy.
When he was in South Africa, he was in a pup tent, and they heard this clicking sound, and they realized they had put their pup tents over hills of scorpions. So it was, oh, Guy, I don't know how he went through it. He had to march in the snow. It was bad. It was just After he passed away and I read some of his letters to my aunts, um, it just made me cry. It's just so sad. Yeah, he was a prisoner of war. Well, when he first parachuted out, he landed really hard, and his legs, he said, were like black and blue and like elephant legs because he hit the ground so hard. He was captured a day or two. We have the articles about his capture. And they made him move around from different camps, and they made him go on that long march in the snow. He said it was awful, but he didn't really talk about the war much when he was, especially when we girls were around. He was pretty quiet. He'd only talk about his war stories mainly when he was around people that had been through things like that. And Sandy, my sister, used to say how he would talk about how he'd be in a coffin and they'd bury him underground, and he just had a comb and he would do the teeth on the comb over and over. He'd count them over and over. And I thought that was awful. I don't know how long he was buried under there, but and he came back on the Queen Mary.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he said it was really crowded. And if you read some of the articles we have, that was kind of neat, newspaper articles we saved. My grandmother saved, and she used to be involved in the parents of prisoner of war, go to meetings and things like that. So it was. Too many stories about my mom. She lived a pretty quiet life, too. She was the baby of the family, baby of 6 kids. And I remember her saying, though, that they didn't have a restroom or plumbing in their house when they first lived in Colorado. And they had to use an outhouse, but they eventually got plumbing. She, I think, came in 3rd in her high school as far as grades go, and she was going to go to a nursing college and everything, but it didn't work out. She ended up marrying my dad when she was 18 and moving to California. We'd go back every other year and visit my grandparents in Colorado. That was always interesting.
Mm.
I would say things will always change in your lifetime. Don't stress out about things because it'll get better. And especially when you get older, you just don't really care anymore about the little things, My philosophy is be kind to people. That's the only thing you can really do is be kind and try to help out when you can and do what you can. But because everybody has their problems, and some people just don't complain. They just keep on going. And people have died, I think. When my nephew died and my brother-in-law died, oh God, I remember how sad that was. Oh, gee. And then when you get older, you kind of accept it because that's eventually what will happen to everyone. And most vivid memory. Oh, guy. I guess. Well, from my childhood, it was going to school. I remember the different incidences at school and doing things with my sisters and going to the park. And then as I got older, I remember my kids, things I've done with my kids. And not being stressed out. I just relaxing. I enjoy my time now by myself, and even if it's watching TV or taking the dog for a walk or something, I enjoy the little things. I get stressed out if anything goes wrong. I don't want anything to go wrong. I just want everything to be fine. Just run smoothly. Not really. The older I get, the more tired I get, and I'm content just to stay home and watch my sports. And oh, that's another thing I enjoy is sports. Before my teams, it didn't matter. I was too busy doing other things. Now I have the time to enjoy things. The Broncos or the Angels or, you know, teams like that.